Hey there, geometry students. Mr. McInerney, and today we're going to talk about classifying triangles by sides and angles. So over here on the left, I have three classifications that we're going to use and need to get familiar with triangles. There's scaling, which means that each of the three sides is a different measurement. Isosceles, which means two sides are equal. And equilateral, which means three sides are equal. Now on the right, we have three classifications by angles. Acute means that the largest angle is less than 90 degrees. Right means that our largest angle is exactly 90, and obtuse means that our largest angle is going to be greater than 90. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at an example problem. And our example problem talks about a triangle with 3 points, A, B, and C. And we need to determine which type of triangle it is based on the three angle measurements that are given to us. However, we don't have any of the angle measurements. So what we need to do first is we need to figure out what x is going to be. And we can do that by using our triangle sum theorem and adding together all three angles to total 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to combine my like terms, all my x terms, along with all my numbers, and I'll end up with 12x minus 36 equals 180. Now I have to eliminate. I'll start with that negative 36, add it to both sides, and I'll end up with 12x equaling 216. Last but not least, I got to divide by 12, and I'm going to end up with x equals 18. So x is 18, but still I don't know any of the measurements for these three angles. So what I have to do now is I have to go ahead and I have to substitute 18 into each of the angles. So the first one is 3 times 18 plus 1, which is going to be 55. Our second angle, angle B, is 4 times 18 minus 17. And that ends up being 55 as well. And the third angle is 5 times 18 minus 20, which ends up being 70. So right now I have two 55s and a 70. And if you look, as far as classifications go, if we look over at the angle side, based on these three classifications, it would be an acute triangle. Now, that is not one of our four answers. However, we can eliminate a right triangle, choice 1, because there is no 90-degree angle in. Next, we have to look at the sides. Now, in the rules for triangles, if you have two angles congruent, that means that two sides are going to be congruent. So for that reason, it's going to be choice number 3, isosceles, because we have two 55-degree angles. And in this triangle, if we have two 55s, that means that the sides opposite those angles would be congruent as well. Now, the second question we're going to look at is similar. And with this one, it gives us all of the angle classifications and one classification for sides, isosceles. Now, notice that it's the same type of question, but instead of an x value, it gives us a ratio right here of 2 to 3 to 5. So for every 2 degrees in one angle, there's 3 in the second and 5 in the third. So what we're going to do is figure out which type of triangle it is by setting up an equation like the first one. So any question with a ratio, we have to figure out what we're trying to get for a total. And because it's the three angles, they have to equal 180. So similar to the first equation, we're going to take all our terms, and since they're all like terms, we're just going to combine all three together, and we get 10x equals 180, and when we divide by 10, we're going to end up with x equaling 18. Now again, that doesn't really help us because we're not asked for x, we're asked for the sizes of the angles. So what we need to do is go back to our ratio, and plug in x next to each of those three numbers. So we end up with 2 times 18 for 2x, which is 36, 3 times 18, which is 54, and 5 times 18, which is 90. Now, by taking a look right now at what we have, well, I know for a fact that we can throw out isosceles, answer 2, because that talks about two sides being congruent. And since none of the two angles are congruent, then all the sides have to be a different length. Now, we have to determine based on the angle measurements what type of triangle it's going to be. And our largest angle is the one we want to look for. And our largest one is that 90-degree angle. So because we have that 90-degree angle as our largest, that means our answer is going to be choice number 4, right triangle. So I hope this was helpful, because the side and angle relationships are all over the Regents, and they're useful because they allow you to determine differences between angles and sides, and you can use one to help you figure out the other one. So I look forward to having our discussion in class about angle and side relationships with triangles.